Hey guys, you're tuned back into Chaotic TV. We're bringing you Game 3 of this TVP Best of 5 in the semifinals of IEM Katowice. In the top right of Daybreak, we have the Red Terran playing for Team MVP. He is Dream. Woo. And his opponent in the bottom left, the Blue Protoss, tying up Series 1-1 in the last game. The player from SK Telecom T1, he is Parting. Now Parting has just shown us that his Immortal push is still as deadly as ever. We've got to see how it works in Heart of the Swarm, which is coming up in a couple of months. The sad thing about Heart of the Swarm is that many of the major tournaments will still be played in Wings of Liberty, but they will have a side Heart of the Swarm tournament because their qualifiers are going to be played before the Heart of the Swarm comes out. And you can't rightly ask players to train for Wings of Liberty, play through Wings of Liberty for the Heart of the Swarm. For a Heart of the Swarm main tournament. So essentially they're going to be qualifying in Wings of Liberty, playing in Wings of Liberty, and each tournament, especially IPL 6, will have an open bracket as opposed to the last two IPLs having an open bracket in Wings of Liberty. They'll have an open bracket in Heart of the Swarm, so that there will be a completely separate tournament going on, which is going to be amazing when I actually show up there. Just booked my rooms with their discount for $150 a night, which is actually, when you split it between two people, I'm going with my buddy Wes. It's actually not that bad for a hotel room at $75 a night, so that's really cheap, especially when you're on limited funds like myself and every other young person I know. Now Dream is, we still have to wait for these players to do what they're going to do. This map is kind of large for Parting to do his robotics facility Immortal push on, like we saw in the last game. So, but it's very possible still. He has so many ways of ending up at that Immortal push that it's kind of interesting to see how he goes about it. He keeps taking all these different tech paths and going Nexus and then a bunch of gateways and then the robotics facility, and then he has a much more Sentry-packed composition than you would see out of all of his other builds. But Dream right now is going for a CC first, quicker than we saw in the last game, but not as quick as, it's quicker than we saw in the first game. But it was down pretty early in the last game on Ohana. But he didn't have enough forces to hold off that Immortal push. You really kind of have to put down at least 4 barracks and have continued production to knock out that Immortal Sentry push, and the force fields on the Protoss player have to be a little bit off during the main attack so that you can get some decent flankings on. Now Ohana is a horrible map for that push because, like, in the natural there's a kind of a wide ramp, but so he had to wall off with as many supply depots as he could, but those Immortals just tore through him, and he was able to supply cap the Terran player, and he wasn't able to and the Terran player wasn't able to reinforce because of that. Now Parting, on the other hand, was able to use that against the Terran player, of course, but then when he actually got into the main, there was a very, I want to call it, choke between the Nexus and the main ramp, so the equivalent would be like right here, you could, with this supply depot, this neutral supply depot, just to block off all of Dream's units from coming around the command center and then being able to attack Parting's incoming forces, and Parting was able to use that forward pylon to just keep reinforcing, and we actually see a third command center coming out of Dream right now. It's a bit of a change-up from the last game. I myself would be too scared, but that's why I'm not a pro player. I want to say, optimistically, yet, but it's a long way off if I ever do get to be that fortunate. We do see the robotics facility coming down. You see it after the 2 gateways, which is different from the first game, or this last game, where he went robotics facility first and then dropped the gateways. And the Cybernetics Corps just finished Warp Gate, so he's going to start that gateway changeover right now, and he's going to put down a pylon on his low ground when next time he needs to fly. Now there's going to be a bit more early pressure in the great micro by Dream. He's not going to be able to get that Stalker before his other one comes back in, and he's going to try to target fire each one, but it's not going to really work for him so well. Not going to be able to get that Stalker or either of them, especially with this low number of Marines, and they just are outranged and outsped by those Stalkers. Stalkers are going home right now, but it's not a big deal for Parting. He knows that Dream's on 2 bases, most likely. Both players, Koreans are extremely 2 base heavy. I want to say you rarely see a one-base push out of Koreans anymore. I mean, apparently it's the biggest thing in the world in 2010 and early 2011 to continue up the meta game from one base to two base to three base, and now it's back down to two bases or something like that, or two bases for Terran with an extra command center for that extra saturation at the main. He actually doesn't have it. All three of these are targeted towards their respective mineral patches. I guess he did a larger SAV transfer than I expected. He's a bit behind on the supply right now, and he has not put down any more production facilities. Oh, he's going to tech up into the... He's being a bit greedy with going for upgrades and for medevacs at the same time. Now, if he does drop this upgrade, then I'll be a bit squiffy about it. But oh, there's the upgrade. So it's a very greedy play. It's not as bad on this map because it is such a large map. He's a little bit supply blocked for about 10 seconds. So you can afford to be a little bit greedy. Most players wouldn't be able to pull that off, especially on the ladder, with going for the tech and the upgrades and the extra income at the same time. It's really about what you can get away with, especially against Party, who is the favored opponent in this. He was able to spot that there was an observer there. He's going to try to scan it, but not before the observer sees that the third command center is headed down towards the third position, especially because he saturated both of his mineral lines. Now, the harvester count for both players is even up, but teching is a bit in favor of the Protoss player, even though the technology right here is about the same. That counts for the upgrades of Dream as opposed to the just sheer increased tech variety of Parting. Now, Dream's going for double upgrades, and he sees that Parting is out in the main center of the base. He's got a scouting factory with a couple of Marines coming forward towards his Zelnaga watchtower. And it looks like he's able to hold off Parting. Parting's got an Archon here. I can't believe I missed that. I thought he was going to start his Storm upgrade, but he hasn't. He's just using this extra gas he's got to build a couple of more Archons, which is going to be a big deal for Dream. Dream kind of needs to start a Ghost Academy if he can, and chunk out 2 or 3 ghosts. Not for the Archons as much, but for the supporting units, especially for the sentries that are there, so that he can knock out their hits. And those Archons can't do the splash damage that they're so good at doing. Now these medevacs, there's a great pathing by MVP to be able to hold them off. Wow, he's coming in with some reinforcements just to continuing to drop here. He's going to pick up these other 3 and put them back across. Some really great micro by him. That actually takes a lot of key clicks if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to drop play. I can't use it myself on the ladder, but then again, I'm not Dream. I'm not any kind of pro Terran player. It doesn't have to be said, but you know, this is what distinguishes pros from the plebeian players. It's hard to say. Looks like we're going to see the forward pylons being cleaned up by Dream, and he's actually taking a supply lead. It's pretty successful supply lead right now. It doesn't look like much, being only 9 ahead, but he has a bit of an army lead, and it's just he's got the upgrades that the Protoss player doesn't have. He's got 1-0, and he's going to have 2-1 probably before their next big engagement. He's going to keep moving forward. When this army infantry finishes, with this amount of medevacs, he's going to be able to stim quite a bit. And, wow, baited some great force fields out of there. He did stim the entire way, but he's got... Oh, that was a great catch on the observer. Probably a reflex, seeing that it was there. Now he's using this factor to check out Parting's army location. He's going to continue moving it forward. I wonder if he can hold position on a factory. And he's going to see if he can't stim and snipe this main nexus, or at least a couple of these buildings, and he pulls back for now. He's going to continue to reinforce across the map. He's got a couple of units just straggling across, getting his first ghost out. We did see him put down that Ghost Academy, and he's going to get 2-2, or is already beginning, and 2-2 for the Protoss player is actually beginning as well. So when he dropped that second forge, and he's chrono boosting out these great upgrades, which is actually really impressive. That's a great gateway wall off, so that he can't just run in and snipe his natural base of the Protoss player, and both players have pretty much evened up right now. It's going to be really based on positioning and those key snipes and key Templar. Yeah, okay, he does have Storm now, so it's going to be really up to these Storms and feedbacks if he decides to put any down. catching that another observer, just keeping Parting from really seeing what he really needs to see to do the damage that he needs. He should. Oh, great feedbacks on these ghosts. Keeps them from dropping enough EMPs to do some serious damage. He's knocking out these rocks so that the force fields aren't as prevalently used against him. And a great push forward by Parting. A huge amount of zealots right here charging, but there's still the choke. And the force field actually worked against Parting for that half second where he did before he pulled back. He's continuing to micro some of his units going back. 2 observers caught by that scan. It's great map awareness by Dream being able to do that. He's getting the Mobius reactor right now to assist in these ghosts, and it looks like Dream's going for a higher ghost play. Looks like he was able to get at least 1 EMP off right now, and he's continuing to snipe a lot of these lower players. No observers here are keeping oh, great snipes on those Templar. No observers are allowing these high anti-light ghosts to do serious damage to the Protoss player. And now great choke using right there. He's going to lose a couple of his own units, but Parting is losing a lot of zealots right here. He's going to continue to push forward, Dream is, using that factory to tank some of the anti-air damage. Now there's 2 observers here, and he's going to be able to keep the ghosts from going invisible, but they are now EMP ready, and if he gets off even 1 EMP against these sentries, then I think Parting might be done with it. And a little bit of a run by being able to snipe a couple of the... not much, really. No workers killed or anything like that. Continued great micro. He's put a couple of units on the high ground. Probably used that run by just to reposition his army so he can snipe those observers. And the high ghost count right here really needs to close so that he can do some damage, but they are almost out of energy. He's doing some great sniping as what he can do, especially see how quickly the zealots are melting against that heavy light damage, but the reinforcements from Parting are just too good. He's on 3 bases, MVP's on 3 bases, but he can't warp in that quickly. He's got to use all of his production facilities. He actually is climbing up a little bit on the money because he has to keep building those production facilities, going for a 4th base behind all of this, building a planetary fortress at the same time. The 4th base of Parting has actually started, and it looks like Dream had an inkling that there was going to be something like that, and he was able to go and attack that warp base. Warp ends are really... Oh, and he cancels the warp end. That is so crucial for the MVP player, continuing to posture outside of Parting's natural base, that he's going to be able to probably not force a cancel on this, but he's going to be able to seriously damage the 4th base here, and then he's going to run up into the natural with his main group. Or no, he's going to go pick off his 4th base before Parting is able to save it. So Parting is going to have to force... Oh, he didn't even get a cancel off on that base. Now Parting is a little bit behind right here. He's down in upgrades, it looks like. He's going to be... I guess it's not too bad. He's going to have Colossi come out, which is a big deal. No Vikings are on the map right now. It's just a huge amount of medics, and a great high count of ghosts right here is still melting all of these zealots. Yeah, remember that word sometimes. And the zealots are continuing to be... Wow, I cannot speak right now. The ghosts are there. There's an observer, so the ghosts aren't doing as much damage as the great storms by MVP Dream. There we go. Another great storm, melting all of the non-ghost units. Ghosts can survive an entire storm even if they don't move out of it, but the regular units cannot. That's 80 damage that ignores armor. So Dream is able to be hurt a lot, but he's continuing to push forward. He's got a much higher supply. He was able to knock down a whole bunch of the shields of the Protoss player, and then essentially when they all ran out of shields, were about at half health, he just started picking them off, and it just really accelerated the destruction of SKT Parting's forces. Dream takes Game 3, leading the series 2-1 on Daybreak, and we'll have to see if Parting can come back in this best-of-5 series in Game 4 in just a second. Thanks for watching. Cheers.